Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Thank you for watching the channel. Two new stories. First one is from Tegarai. TPLF Debretsion is now threatening Getachew Reda group. Video of Manjurino Fatlever is in circulation. She addressed a gathering of TPLF people in a city in Tigray. What did she say? Secondly, Egypt reached an agreement with Djibouti yesterday about uh, power production. Djibouti relies heavily on electricity exported by Ethiopia. Egypt has been trying to include Djibouti in the broad regional alliance formed against Ethiopia last week in Asmara. Djibouti refused. One of the reasons is the economic relations between Djibouti and Ethiopia. Egypt still not disappointed. Uh, let's start views from Tagara, where we know that the situation is still volatile, political, a conflict ongoing. No solution in sight so far. TPLF Debretsion wing and TPLF Getachew wings both claiming to be real, true TPLF, dismissing the other side. The two are threatening each other. If you remember, Getachew Reda a few days ago announced to take legal action on TPLF Debretsion wing leaders. TPLF Debretsion wing leaders fired Getachew Reda from Tigray interim government, and they fired Getachew Reda's cabinet members too. Getachew announced to take action on TPLF Debretsion. So the TPLF Debretsion wing's announcement of removing Getachew could not be implemented. And Getachew could not walk his talk. He did not take any action on TPLF Debretsion wing leaders. Then the Debretsion was called in Addis Ababa. Meeting was held between the Debretsion federal government and no solution found so far. Second meeting could be held in coming days. Meanwhile, the TPLF Debretsion is continuing its pressure tactics to paralyze the interim government of Tigray, of Getachew Reda, to frighten the interim government of Manjurino is one of the senior most TPLF leaders. He fought during the war too against Dogs. He fought in this war as well in Tigray, in northern Ethiopia, which ended 2 years ago. He's one of the senior most TPLF leaders. Her name is Fatlever Gebrigzaber. Fatlevok Alim are still main policymakers. Bratzian, these are main policymakers in TPLF, and they are strongly opposed to Getachew Reda's group. Mongerino, in a talk 2 days ago, firstly disclosed that talks were underway between the federal government and TPLF, the Western wing, to appoint a new president in Tigray. Then she threatened the Tigray interim government. Maybe she was addressing the federal government. She announced that TPLF will use public force to regain its due political rights in Tigray. He said these people will have to return the power to real TPLF. These people mean Getachew group. The Getachew group will have to leave and let real TPLF be in power in Tigray. If it does not happen, TPLF will mobilize its people, and by people's force, it will reclaim its right to power. This is what Mongerino said. Definitely, she, in veiled terms, said that TPLF would go for public uprising against Getachew Reda's government. A coup by the people, not by the military, but by the people of Tigray. By the way, Tadesse Varede, the Tigray security chief, has been warning. He's been saying that no one will be allowed to create instability and law and order situation in Tigray. Whether it's the Debretsion group or Getachew group, both will have to ensure that there is no threat to peace in Tigray. But TPLF Debretsion is saying it will use public force. Perhaps this is the last option which Debretsion wing will use. It is talking to the federal government. If federal government does not listen, it will try to convince the Tigray security forces to ensure smooth removal of Getachew Reda. If Tigray security forces don't side with TPLF Debretsion, the last option which Debretsion will use is pressure on interim government to the mobilization of the people of Tigray, which would be devastating. It will have devastating consequences because Getachew group could also mobilize his people. His group does have support in southern Tigray, in southeastern Tigray. If both groups gave calls to their people to protest, to come out, what will happen in Tigray? Let's see. Mongerino is warning. She is saying that EPLF will use public force if peacefully Getachew group is not removed from power. Lastly, where Egypt reached an agreement with Djibouti. I told you 2 days ago that Egypt tried to include Djibouti in the new alliance formed against Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia. Egypt are part of the alliance. Here, Djibouti refused reportedly. Why? Because Djibouti, Ethiopia economic relations are significant for Djibouti's economy. Djibouti is still earning millions of dollars from handling Ethiopian cargo. Secondly, Djibouti relies on electricity supplied by Ethiopia. Djibouti's thermal power plants produce electricity, and secondly, it buys electricity from Ethiopia. Ethiopia provides hydroelectricity to Djibouti. Egypt is coming in to replace Ethiopia. 48 hours ago, Egypt and Djibouti signed an agreement via video conference. Minister of Energy of Egypt, Mahmoud Ismat, and his Djibouti's counterpart, Yunus Ali, signed this agreement online. This agreement is about building of a solar power plant in Djibouti with a capacity of 276.5 kilowatts. Who will fund this project? Egypt. Egypt is the sole contributor to build this project in Djibouti. Why? Why is that Egypt is so concerned about Djibouti's power needs? Because Egypt wants to include Djibouti in the broader regional alliance against. If Ethiopia diverts its cargo to Somaliland, to Kenya, Egypt would like Djibouti to be part of the regional alliance. So these are offers being made from Egypt to Djibouti regarding electricity uh, production. We could see Egyptian investments too in Djibouti. Agenda is that Egypt wants to broaden the alliance against Ethiopia by including Djibouti. By the way, Egypt tried to build a military base in Djibouti for years. Egypt trying, but Ethiopia always foiled Egyptian attempts of building military bases in its neighborhood. Djibouti refused, but Somalia has agreed to host Egyptian military as Egyptian peacekeepers are arriving in Somalia.